So here's the thing. I don't know if you've seen the video that I made on Blundstone boots, specifically the one that I've got, but I made a point right here. It's pretty cool that they distress these and they look old and they look kind of dryish, but they're not. They're water resistant. Now looking into that, it looks like that is wrong. And what's really interesting is the fact that I wasn't really sure if they were treated at all, assuming, you can kind of assume that they were. I mean, they're touted as waterproof boots. I didn't really know. I love these boots, but the biggest thing is that they are not all made the same, which isn't technically bad, it's just something else that you need to know. Here's what I mean. So if you do a basic Google of are my Blundstone boots waterproof, you're met with a Canadian frequently asked questions version of Blundstone's website. I don't know if you're Canadian, could just be a regular website. The US version doesn't have this, but it says basically, most Blundstones are pre-treated. Keyword right there is most. And as a result, we do not recommend treating them out of the box, basically because they're treated. If you do try and treat them again, stuff is just gonna roll off. It's not really gonna work. But the exception to this rule would be styles that are manufactured with rustic brown, crazy horse brown, or rustic black leathers. These leathers are treated in such a way to present a distressed appearance and such do not carry the same pre-treatments as the finished and oiled leathers. So here's where it's a little weird. It says you may treat these leathers but do not have to with a natural leather conditioner such as mink oil, Otterwax, or Blundstone waxy oil conditioner to provide additional weatherproofing and general leather conditioning. However, please note it's going to darken these leathers. Now that's what I find really interesting because that pretty much confirms that not all Blundstones are made the same and some will deteriorate faster than others. And what's interesting is a lot of people say quality control on them sucks, but what I'm thinking now is that not quality control sucks, but it's just the fact that we assume all the leather boots are going to hold up the same when most likely they're not. As you may know, if you don't treat leather, it cracks, it dries out, and eventually it breaks down. But to really extend the life of your leather, you have to treat it. So these boots are treated with a waterproof something. I don't know what Blundstone does exactly. Probably waxes them or puts an oil on them. Anything that makes them hydrophobic, which just means water kind of beads off. These ones, as you can see, they look pretty dry out of the box. And originally I thought, oh, that's cool. I don't know how they do that and keep it oiled and conditioned. Maybe they re-oil it, but it looks like they don't. So, I mean, if you love this style of boot where it looks all distressed, chances are it's gonna keep some of that distressed look if you oil it, which we're gonna do today, but just know that if you wanna keep it like this, chances are it's gonna break down sooner than someone who does not have a rustic pair and they have an oiled pair. What I'm using today is a basic horsehair brush that I got from Kiwi. Basically, I got this at Target. It's not anything fancy, it's not really that tough of a brush. It's really light for brushing stuff off, so nothing that crazy. I definitely recommend some other brushes if you really have dirty boots. I'm not gonna do this, but basically, these boots are so new, there's really not a lot of marks on them yet. Although, crazily enough, there are some scuffs, and I've only worn them like 5 times, so who knows. But what's also nice is that if you reach really deep down into your Blundstones, you'll notice that there is some saddle soap in there. Still Kiwi. I'm not going to use this. I just had this for a different pair of boots that I was cleaning. I don't know if Kiwi's the best because you can find it at Target and stuff, but it's definitely better than using like dish soap. Don't use dish soap. There's a video of this guy using dish soap on his Red Wings 8111s or whatever, and basically, if you think about that, there's a reason we humans don't really shower with dish soap or use dish soap, and that's because it's so strong it basically just strips all the oils right out of your skin and really harshly. And that's also why there is body wash and face wash, because you don't want to be as harsh on your face as you can on your body. So saddle soap does strip the grime and grease and dirt and all that stuff, but inside of it, it also has some conditioner so your boots don't end up drying out and basically being even worse than they were before. So very important to use leather soap. Now if you reach deep into your other boot, you will find Otterwax Leather Oil, which is one of the products recommended by Blundstone. Also, there's mink oil and stuff too, but I looked at Otterwax and they look like they have some good environmental consciousness stuff. So I was like, you know, why not do my part? Buy some leather boots, kill an animal, but be concerned about the oil I use. We're gonna oil these up and see how it goes. I'll get some shots of it. I'll compare it to my other video where they were dry, and then this video you can see how much they darken, but at the end of the day, I recommend you do this 100%. I don't recommend you keep it dry. I know you bought them because they look cool like this, but if you want to extend the life of your product, I highly recommend you consider doing this to your rustic boots. And if you have some Blundstones or leather boots or really leather anything that you haven't conditioned in a few months, definitely condition it. It's gonna last way longer. So I'm gonna zoom in and let's get to it. All right, so the biggest thing that you wanna make sure of is that your boot is clean. This one is obviously very clean. If it's not, like I said, get some saddle soap, clean it off. Then you wanna get a brush, really brush off your boots. Try to get all that dirt. You wanna oil the leather. You don't wanna oil the dirt. It's actually not that good for the boot. So definitely don't do that. Then you have your Otterwax Leather Oil and a rag. A white rag so I can see how dirty it gets, but here we go. Something with oiling boots is less is more in the beginning. Do little coats instead of just giant goopy balls of it, just because it's easier and you don't want to oversaturate your boots. Also, I saw in a video, I don't know if this is actually true, but people are saying if you're gonna oil your boots, might as well put some on the rubber because rubber can dry out too, so that's what we're doing here. Another big thing is that you really want to get it right by the edges. I would say seams, but this is not a stitched boot on the bottom. So you really want to get it right around here, which is going to be the hardest spot to get it. Also the hardest spot to clean, so think of that. Okay, so as you can see, that is an oiled boot. Part of it's already drying. It's gonna take about a day or two to dry, so I will update what it looks like after it's dried, but moment of truth, this is your oiled boot. As you can see, it's still wet. It's gonna dry and look a little bit more like the original. I will update this video and kind of show you what that looks like, but I do have to let some time pass first, obviously. And this is the original boot. Obviously it has a lot more character right now. No telling what this second boot, the oiled one, will look like when it's dried, but side by side, you can definitely see the difference. This one has some nice oil on it. This one does not. This one is also like scratching. Well, they're both scratching, but this one looks a lot healthier. I'd say this one looks cooler, but sometimes you gotta do it. Okay, so at the end of the day, the most important thing to remember is that if you wanna have these boots last for a long time and become your boots, you need to treat them somehow, some way. Leather that's dry usually cracks and is a lot more brittle, so oils and conditioners and stuff like that are imperative to keeping your boots not only looking nice but also not breaking so that you can actually wear them. If you really hate this look and the after look after these boots have dried, I definitely recommend to at the very least look into some, I think they're called like nano sprays or something like that. They're at like every Target, every CVS. It's just a silicone spray that will go over your boot, which prevents them from getting wet and getting stains and stuff like that. You do have to reapply that too, of course, but it won't change the look of your boots as much as this will. But this is also more fun, and now my boots look wet and healthy, like a live cow. Anyways, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe. I also did a full review of Blundstones, but this is not a Blundstone channel. I'm hoping to review a lot of different things. So definitely shoot a subscribe if you want to, but other than that,